What's up guys, Noah from TemplateFC here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to build kit sets in Photoshop using our mockups and patterns and free stuff. The things I'm going to be using include the new TemplateFC 2026 patterns pack. I'm going to be using the split collar mockup for all three of my shirt designs. In the example though, I give some Barcelona kits. And when I posted the Barcelona kits, the away kit was actually the fold over collar soccer mockup. And they're kind of similar. They do have differences. Obviously the collar is a big difference, but it's great to work in different collars and things like that when you're creating sets like this, so you don't have all the same collar. However, we do have a tool for that, which is the kit builder. As you can see, you have different sleeve options, and you have a lot of collar options, as well as side panel options. So this would be ideal for this sort of thing because you can keep designs consistent on the same body style, but change things like the sleeve cut or the collar. The last thing I'll be using is the TemplateFC tool, which is free to download. I highly recommend it. Gonna be using the crap out of it on the third kit. But the shirts I'm gonna be kind of going over are some Barcelona shirts, and we're gonna create our own, but this is probably my ideal example of using one pattern and creating three distinct shirts out of it. So we have this Barcelona home that I created, a fun striping pattern, probably not something Barca would actually ever do, but it's cool, it looks nice. And then you can see this sharp, jagged edged striping is carried over to the away sash. And then it's also carried over into the third kit. It's a little more abstract though, but it still has a similar feel. And I think as the viewer, you don't recognize it, but it feels like it fits the same vibe. Now, it's not exactly the same vibe, but it's similar enough to feel like it has cohesion. Now, you could obviously make it have more cohesion by making it look a little more like the home and the away pattern. But I don't like to do that. I like to go crazy for the third. So anyway, let's create our own Barcelona kit set, and I'll show you how this works. Obviously, this example is using stripes on the home, a sash on the away. So those are like two elements that really stand out and makes it really obvious that you're using the same patterns. And it makes it really easy for this kind of thing. If you're making a kit for Real Madrid that doesn't have distinct striping elements, it's a little harder. You're kind of just using subtle patterns and stuff, but you can still carry them over and make adjustments to them to make them unique for each shirt. So it's not the same pattern, copy and paste it over. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. I have this blank Barca kit, home kit. I'm not gonna go over setting up the logos and the colors and all that stuff. We cover that in our Creating Kits series, so be sure to watch the first episode if you're more of a newbie when it comes to this whole thing. If you're more experienced and kind of know what you're doing, you're fine. But let's go ahead to our patterns pack. And I mentioned that this is the new patterns pack. We're actually gonna go to the fourth pattern, the AEK Larnaca home, which is this cool pattern. I'm gonna open this in Illustrator, which I already have it opened, and I have our pattern already selected that we're gonna use, which is this right side. I'm gonna copy this, come into Photoshop, let's open up our body and paste it. And now this is the element I'm gonna be using and repeating. Now, normally it's not, or I shouldn't say normally, but sometimes it's not as easy as just finding a pattern you like and copying it from one of our patterns packs. We do have a lot of patterns and that's very viable, but sometimes it won't fit the vibe of your team. You need to create your own pattern or element. And that's often what I do for client work. So it requires some research and things like that, but you do want to create some sort of main element that you're gonna use throughout the design, especially for any sort of pattern. But let's take this, I'm gonna double click, color overlay, and make it the Barcelona red, right click, rasterize, there we go. I'm gonna duplicate this and kind of create our own element out of this. So I'm gonna make it a little bit bigger and then thin it out so our stripe looks something like this. And let's press Command J and duplicate it, bring it over, and we want to space it out enough So the negative space looks just about as thick as our red, which that looks about right. Then let's select both of those, holding shift and then Command J. Drag it over, let's do that again. Think about right there. Let's select them all while holding shift. With the move tool selected, let's go to distribute and evenly space these out. I'm gonna press Command T and hold shift actually and bring that in. Sweet. Now you can see that these kind of align, these like cutout elements. So it looks like there's angled stripes through this, like that are like cutting into the stripes. I'm not a huge fan of that, so I might come in, let's select that one and this one, and maybe just drag it up. So it's not exactly in line. Well, that one's not. Let's do this one. There we go. A little more chaotic. Sweet, I like this. Let's group all four of these. And I'm gonna press Command J, or Command G to group, Command J to duplicate, Command E to merge. Let's Command J again, and I'm gonna press Command U, make this white with 100% lightness, put it behind our red, and kind of just offset it to the left a bit and set it to overlay. And that's our little background pattern. Okay, I think 30% is pretty good. And then we can duplicate that again and bring it and put it on the red. Maybe have the red on the other side like so. Drag it up a bit. And this one's gonna have to decrease to about 20%. And that looks pretty good. Let's save it and take it a quick gander. There might be too many. It looks like a little too much, so I'm gonna try one thing. I'm gonna, well, there's a few ways you can do this. I'm actually gonna select everything. Command J, Command E, and then Command A, Command C, Command V. I'm gonna be doing that a lot. I do it all the time, but that creates a cropped version of what we have there. I'm gonna zoom out with Command minus, click the top, hold Shift and Option, and drag up to stretch this bad boy out like that. And we have something like this, which I think looks pretty good. I also am realizing, I think I'm actually gonna delete these two, select what we have in the striping visibility, press Command T, hold Alt and Shift, and I'm gonna just drag it in a bit like that. And then I'm gonna repeat what we just did with stretching it out. Maybe not go as far, maybe like that. Save, let's see what that looks like. That looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. We could also get a little crazy with it. So for Barcelona, I probably wouldn't do this, but you could, for example, if I duplicate this, if I go to TemplateFC, we could do like wave 2, and then you could probably liquefy it. And now it's just a little more chaotic, but it's still fun. I actually kind of like this a lot. I like, obviously it's not very Barcelona-esque, but I think it's kind of sick. I won't do that. We'll keep it nice and simple. You could also like rotate it on an angle or something like that. But this is pretty good. Let's try. I'm trying to see if there's like a better orientation for it. Maybe this way. And let's. We're doing a tutorial. We don't have to be perfect. I'm gonna call it good right there. So this is our final design. I press Command A, Command C, Command V, so I have a cropped version of this, and we'll paste it over on the sleeves real quick. So on the right sleeve, I'm gonna press Command V, Command T, align it on the left side, save it. Other sleeve, align it on the right edge, save it. And cool, there's a pretty sweet Barcelona design. Pretty quick, could have spent a lot more time on it, but we're happy with that. Let's save that. Now, if I was designing this from the same file, I would save it which I have, and then File, Save As, and do Barca 2 instead of 1. However, I have a Barca 2 file already set up with color, so I'm just gonna open that and copy our beginning pattern over. All right, here we are. We have our pattern copied over, and let's go ahead and create another design. So I'm gonna just stretch this out ahead of time since that's what we ended up doing. And I'm gonna Command J to duplicate, double click, color, and get navy. And let's align this in a cool manner. Maybe like that. I think that's pretty cool. I'm gonna select both of these, group them. I'm gonna duplicate them so I have like an original vertical version, but this duplicated one, I'm gonna press Command T and rotate and align it like that. I'm gonna press Shift and Alt and click the edge and just thin it out. And then I'm gonna press Command and drag this down and this one up to just make that angle a little harsher, and then maybe rotate it again like that. That's pretty cool. Let's Command J to duplicate it and Command E to merge it. Now, this is just a little flat and boring to me, so I want to go ahead to the patterns pack again and find something with like gradient interest. Okay, I'm gonna get the Lil Home pattern and drag this on. Increase the size. I'm gonna right click, rasterize, Command U, no saturation, Command L. Let's make it very black and white. I'm gonna hold Alt and make it a clipping mask on this and set it to overlay and decrease the opacity, but have it overlay the stripe a bit. And actually, does soft light look better? Soft light might look better. And that's pretty cool. I think I like that. And that just adds a little depth to it ever so slightly. We could also bump it up. What's color dodge? Color dodge might work at a lower. I mean, that's pretty cool too. We'll roll with that. This is fun. So there's a nice simple striping setup. You could go about kind of like a similar thing we did before too, where we duplicate this, bring it to the top. Maybe we go white, and instead we go, we press Command, select the thumbnail, layer mask, Command I, unlink it, drag the layer mask around a bit, maybe like so, and then set this to overlay, clipping mask. What does black look like? We could go darker or we could go lighter. I'll go white and go lighter. I think that's fun. And then maybe we bump down this texture just a bit. And on that texture, I think I'm gonna go to our TemplateFC and liquefy normal and wave to heavy, just so it's not so many straight lines in that. And then I'm pretty happy with that striping. Again, I'd probably work at this more in actuality, but let's take it, duplicate it, and merge it, and press Command U and go to no saturation again, drag it to the bottom, press Command J, hold Shift and drag down, Command J again, hold Shift and drag down, select those last two, Command J, click, hold Shift and drag up, and get some sort of spacing like this. And we should probably add one more to fill this corner. And group all these, Command J, Command E, hide the group. Press Command L and we make this more black and white again. Cool, and set this to overlay and decrease the opacity. And we have a nice background. And we can select that and our background yellow, Command J, Command E, Command A, Command C, Command V. And now we have our background cropped and ready to go. Let's save this. Go back to our mockup. And we don't really want the stripe on the sleeves. We just want the background yellow stuff on the sleeves. So let's paste that over here. Align this one on the right and this one on the left. And Command S and save. And that looks pretty great. I'm gonna close the sleeves and I'm gonna open up the cuffs. And what I'm gonna do with the cuffs is come in and get our stripe. And let's just copy it, go to the cuffs, paste it with Command C, Command V, Command E to merge it, press Command T. And let's try to get a visual on it first. We're probably gonna have to decrease the size a lot. There it is, let's rotate it. Decrease the size more. And let's set this up on the cuff like that. Gonna copy that. Actually, let's press Command A and align it middle. Command S to save. Come over here to the other cuff. Command V to paste. Let's press Command A again. Align it middle. Command D to deselect. Command T, right click, flip horizontal, enter, save. And now we have a cool cuff design. Now, the cuff design's a little thin. So you might, or what I did, I think, was drag this down and just go with the red. Maybe something like that. Actually, let's go 135 increase. Do that. 135. Cool, so it's just the red element, and then we can make the cuffs blue, so it's something like that, which I think looks a lot better. And now we have two kits designed real quick using the same pattern. Let's save that. And finally, let's go on to the third shirt. Okay, the third shirt, in my opinion, is always the most fun. So let's get our pattern. We're gonna just start on the left, duplicate it. And let's just rotate it like that. Find a good alignment. We'll go there. Select them both. And let's do that again. Okay. Spaced out evenly. Let's align it center. Command J or Command G to group, Command J to duplicate, Command E to merge. So we created that pattern, duplicated it throughout. I'm gonna actually go to my background color and make this a dark gray. This, our pattern that we just created, I'm gonna make black. So now we already have a pretty cool look going on. Let's press Command J. I'm gonna get this cool pink color that I have and duplicate our pattern and make a pink one. And then let's right click, rasterize that real quick. I'm gonna press Command, select our thumbnail, add a layer mask, press Command I to inverse it, unlink the chain, and with the layer mask selected, let's drag around to try to create a cool like outline pattern in pink. Something like that, which is pretty fun. I really like this. Let's relink the chain. I'm gonna select both of these layers, group them, Command J, hide the other group. And with this one, I'm gonna press Command T, gonna rotate a bit, increase the size, maybe rotate a little bit more. Nice. And then I'm gonna select everything, Command J, Command E, Command A, Command C, Command V. And now we're gonna get a little spicy. Let's go to our TemplateFC. Let's go to Wave 2 Heavy. Let's try that. Nice. Liquefy Normal. Nice. And then let's duplicate that layer and go to Displace Normal. And in the TemplateFC free download, you get a bunch of displacement maps. And we're gonna grab this guy, 29, click open. And we get, that's actually a little too much. I'm gonna press Command Z. Let's pick a little bit lighter of one. I'm gonna do 33. There we go. It's a little more subtle. And I'm gonna press Command T, increase the size, press Enter, add a layer mask, make sure black's my color, get my brush tool. This is just like a splotchy kind of brush. I think it's in the Qehzy kit design pack in TemplateFC, but I'll double check that. It's also on my personal Patreon, patreon.com/Qehzy, if you're interested in buying it or whatever. We will have a TemplateFC pack coming out soon that will feature a bunch of brushes. So if you're watching this in the future, that might be available. But we're gonna click around randomly throughout the document with that, and then press Command I. So we have this like displacement effect going on throughout. And then if you press Command and click that layer mask, come below it and create a new solid color, make it black, and then drag down and duplicate it and drag like up and to the right. So we're mixing in a little more black so it's not so chaotic, I guess. And we might want to do that more, so we might come down to the original black layer and bring it up to the top and do a liquify heavy and wave heavy, and then press Command and select that thumbnail, press the layer mask, press Command I, and drag that around a bit. And we could also, instead of making it black, make it just another gray to get some more color in there. And as you can see, this is getting very chaotic, very much a third shirt, which I love. Let's create a new layer, and we're gonna make it black and get that same brush, and we'll click around to break it up even more. And we can do another kind of displacement with wave and liquify to normal. There we go. Maybe increase the size of that a bit. Nice. And let's go ahead and select everything. Command J, Command E, Command A, Command C, Command V. Command J again. Let's go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. About 20 some pixels. Click OK and set that to lighten and maybe 30. That's pretty cool. Let's save it and take a quick gander. Looking pretty fun. One thing you could do here too is, well, let's just do a quick look at it, the design on the sleeves. So actually I want to adjust this too, but we have everything on one layer now. I'm gonna warp it and bring this up a little bit and do something like this. I'm just visually trying to balance this out in my mind because it doesn't look balanced, but it's close, and I think that's about good. Command A, Command C, Command V, save, paste it onto the sleeves. Nice, lots of chaos. I need more up here though, so let's do this again. There we go. Sweet. Now I'm happy with this design. You could also do that design, and if it's still too chaotic for you, you could go black here and save it and just have it on the sleeves, which is kind of sick. And if you wanted to have it kind of at the top too, you could just get a rectangle and kind of leave like the top part. So it's something like that. Both very good options, but I like having it everywhere. And the final thing I'd like to do here, in the original third shirt you saw it was like half and half red, half blue. If we get a hue and saturation, we can go to red, and then we'll adjust this to be like more pinkish. And again, let's get our brush tool, and on the layer mask, kind of click around randomly and press Command I to inverse it. And you could do any color here. I'm just doing another pink, but you could go like a little crazy. Like, actually, this looks pretty sweet. Let's do this, the Miami Vice kind of color scheme. Copy that hue and saturation. Let's save this. Come over, paste it in the sleeve. and paste it in the sleeve. And now that's some fun radical design. We could also, one last idea, we have the logo centered, so we could just add a center stripe to kind of break this up if it's still a little too much. I think I just like it chaotic as is. Let me make a few more adjustments. Okay, and then the final thing I'm gonna do is add this textured effect, save it, go to our sleeves, textured effect, save it, other sleeve, textured effect, ooh, wrong one, textured effect, save it, sick. And there's some fun kits. So that's how you go about doing this. It's real simple. You start with a pattern and you just use different design techniques to create 3 kits. So here is our set of 3 kits. You can see they all use the same element as the base of the pattern. It creates consistency through all 3. Obviously on the 3rd shirt, we go a little more wild and have a lot more fun with it, but you can still keep it pretty simple and keep the consistency throughout. But I hope you guys learned something in this tutorial. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe to our channel for more. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at TemplateFC and Instagram at template.f.c. Be sure to check out TemplateFC.com. Join our Discord to have conversations if you guys have any questions. That's a great place to reach me. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.